So this is the crude oil booklet for year 11. So use the information, so they were quite nice and they gave you quite a bit of information here. Your answers should include both disadvantages and advantages of the potential use of hydrogen as a replacement for petrol and diesel. So advantages, you can see as I went through I ticked what I'd used. Advantages of hydrogen as a fuel include the raw starting material is water, which is readily available. Hydrogen as a fuel doesn't produce CO2 as a byproduct, so it doesn't contribute to global warming. Disadvantages of hydrogen as a fuel is very hard to store and transport. Transportation includes storage in thick steel containers and constant high pressures. Separating water into H2 requires electrolysis. Electricity is produced via the combustion of crude oil. So you're still actually using crude oil. Next question then, I think everyone has done in class. So method 1, to remove the fire that's on a moor. So fire break removes the fuel, water removes heat, carbon dioxide pump removes O2. This question was then the same, but you had to expand it, use full sentences, because it was a 6-mark question. So it asked you then, and make sure you notice that, complete the table by filling in the 3 empty boxes. That one was nice and easy because you just had to count the carbons and the hydrogens and write them in. This one again, it was propane, so no double bond, 3 carbons, and then remember each carbon has 4 bonds coming off it. Methane, because there's no double bond and it's 1 carbon. Okay. Name the compound from the table above that can be used to form the polymer below. So it would be ethene. Small reactive molecules such as alkenes joined together to form monomers are known to form polymers are known as monomers. Another polymer can be formed from the following compound. Choose in the box below to name the polymer. It's polytetrafluoride. Draw the repeating unit of this polymer. Remember, move the F's up and remove the double bond. Okay, one thing I have forgotten there is to make sure you put an N. So write the balanced symbol equation for the reaction between ethene and bromine. So I have included both the word equation and the balanced symbol equation. No balance actually, because everything's equal. Describe the colour change made during this observation. Colour change will go from orange to colourless. Ethene undergoes a reaction known as polymerization to produce polyethene. By means of an equation or otherwise, describe what happens during the polymerization of ethene. So there's ethene to begin with, and then there's the polymer of it. Remember to include the N. The double bond is removed, able to join other monomers to make a polymer. Polymerization requires the use of a catalyst. Explain the effect of catalysts on chemical reactions. Catalysts lower activation energy, which means rate of reaction will speed up. Another question about plastics then, a whole box of plastics, and it says polyethylene is used to make carry bags and bin liners. So, polyethylene is used to make carry bags and bin liners. What property would you pick for that? Low density, lightweight. Polystyrene is used for dissolvable cups, rigid and holds liquid. State why use of plastic causes environmental problems and give one way of overcoming these problems. Plastics aren't biodegradable, so fill up landfills. Use up habitat space. Recycling plastics could overcome this problem. So then there were 2 6-mark questions. So you kind of want to pause now and have a look at them. Explain, given uses, why plastics have replaced traditional materials such as iron, glass and wood. This is the table that's in your books. And I've gone through and picked out each a use for each one, original use and then a new use. Then again, describe the benefits and drawbacks associated with cycling plastic waste. Benefits include minimising pollution, also minimises global warming. Recycling involves minimal combustion and little fossil fuels are used, so it doesn't use as much fossil fuels as making plastics. Drawbacks include cost, running recycling units, collecting, recycling. Products from recycled waste aren't always durable. Recycling still releases CO2. Again, kind of the same question, drawing them out. Propanol won't come up unless you're a triple scientist. Be careful of the endings to work out whether they've got double bonds or not. So complete the table, 3 marks, nice 3 marks. Name 2 products in the table which are alkenes. You can check that with the naming, so ethene and propene. The table shows the first 4 members of the alkane family. Give the general formula. An isomer, remember isomers, it has to be on a middle carbon when you move for the group, okay, and that would be 2-methyl propane. So again, what would happen if you had bromine over the double bond? So you get the BRs added to it. It would remove the double bond. What would you happen if you made a polymer? Make sure you include the N, which I seem to have forgotten on every question so far. Students suspect a liquid is ethanol. This is a triple question, so if you're not triple, it won't come up. What test would you use? Potassium dichromate, and it'll turn from green to orange. Again, more drawing out structural formulas. These ones are nice and easy because you've just got to count the carbons. Octane contains 8 carbon atoms, give the molecular formula. Two ways you can do it. You can learn the general formula, so it's CnH2n plus 2, or you can just draw it out because it's not ane, so it doesn't have a double bond. As you can see, these questions are all quite similar. Again, using the general formula, this one's got 18 hydrogens. Isomers, remember it's got to come off the central carbon. You didn't have to name them, which was nice. Give the general formula for the alkene family, and then a structural formula for propene, so 3 carbons and a double bond. What is a hydrocarbon? A mixture of hydrogen and carbon. Give the name of the process that separates crude oils into fractions. They kind of gave you a helpful hint there. Fractional distillation. Why can this process be used to separate crude oil? Crude oil is a mixture, so it can separate each hydrocarbon based on their boiling point. Many long-chain hydrocarbons can be further processed by cracking. State how this process is carried out and explain why it is important. Cracking requires heat and a catalyst. It's thermal decomposition, so breaking something down using heat. Means breaking the covalent bonds to make shorter alkanes and alkenes. Shorter alkanes are more useful, so we can use them as fuel. The alkenes can then be used to make plastics. We've done this question again as a starter activity. Use the bar chart to describe the differences between supply and demand. The fraction changes as chain length increases. As carbon chain length increases, the supply increases until C17 to 20, when it decreases. The demand is highest for C5 to 8. After that, it decreases. Supply does not match demand. Describe how crude oil was formed. Dead marine plants and animals over millions of years, intense heat and pressure. Give the meaning of non-renewable, a resource that will run out, it is not finite. Crude oil is separated into different fractions by a process called fractional distillation. The fractions can be separated because they have different boiling points. Circle the word that best describes crude oil, it is a mixture. This question then, a little bit of core chemistry. Calculate the percentage by mass of carbon in hexanes. The first thing you have to do is calculate the total MR. If you need to use the table, do use it. So element, how many, mass, total. Okay, so the elements you've got are carbon and hydrogen. How many you've got? 6, 14 times by 12, 1, etc, etc. That should have given you 86. And then the mass of carbon then to be mass of the element divided by the total mass. Many fractions obtained from crude oil are used as fuels. The fire triangle states the necessary factors to start and maintain a fire. One method to be used to safely put a small amount of spilled petrol on the floor. Give a reason for your chosen method. Method, fire blanket, so make sure you put it in the right place. Reason, it removes oxygen. Combustion, complete combustion, remember, is water and carbon dioxide. Then you just have to balance it out, okay? Easiest way is the carbons can't change on this side, it's only 5, so it means there has to be 5 carbons on that side. Explain why using hydrogen fuel cells in cars is better for the environment than petrol. Contains only water as a byproduct, which doesn't contribute to global warming. Last question then. This is the energy released from different fuels. You've done this as a practical and a starter activity. Apart from measuring the mass of water, describe all measurements that would be needed to be taken to calculate the energy released per gram. So initial and final temperature, initial and final mass. When comparing the energy released from different fuels, 100 grams of water will be used each time. State one other variable that should be controlled, distance between the spirit burner and the water, so that's spaced there. Combustion of fuels is exothermic reaction. You need to pick the energy profile that's exothermic, so it's that one.